Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Universal Furniture. I'm Kayla Miller, the Director of Marketing here at Universal, and before I hand it over to Melissa, I have a few things I would like to highlight about this fall market. We've introduced 2 new collections this market, Dwell, which is located on floor 2, as well as an addition to our modern collection on floor 3. While you're here, be sure to stop by our front desk, check in, grab a scanner. You can scan all your favorite things in our showroom. You'll get an emailed wish list whenever you check out, sent directly to your inbox of everything you scan while you're here in the showroom. We also have a dedicated designer's lounge that's located out in the lobby. This is a space that's dedicated just for designers. You can get a hair touch-up, you can catch up on emails, you can grab a drink, relax. Again, this is a space that we do for designers that's dedicated to you guys. Before Melissa gets started, I just wanted to give a thank you to Melissa. She always does such a good job of drawing a crowd here in the Learning Center. We host 11 events over 4 days here in the Learning Center, so definitely grab one of our Explore Home magazines, and it lists out all the events that we have going on this market. All right, help me give Melissa a warm welcome.
Thank you all very, very much. I have been doing this for a lot of years now. I love High Point, and I have to tell you that I am standing in my favorite presentation training room in all of High Point. Don't tell anybody else. Universal has it nailed down, dialed in. They also have a wonderful spread at breakfast and lunch. They have a great place to park in behind. Yes, it is a $25 fee. And the designer lounge is awesome. You're going to love that. So we are going to have some fun today. I'm going to see how far I can get without my glasses because I can read that just fine. It's just this fine print down here that gets a little tricky. How many of you want to double your revenues? Every hand should be going up. If it's not going up, what are you doing here? Okay? And you want to do it in half the time with less stress, right? How many people here are already using flat fees? Let me see a show of hands. How many people are losing their shirts using flat fees? Nobody wants to admit that. Oh, a couple of you are willing to admit it. Okay, we're here to fix that. Okay, I know what you're doing. I know what's wrong, and we got a solution. Okay, really, really important. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I've got all the answers you're going to need. So here's what's important to know is that 20% of today's homeowners are hiring interior designers. That is triple where we were before COVID. So COVID had a massive silver lining for our industry. Many of you experienced that. Many of you may still be experiencing that, although the last year has seen a bit of a correction. So if your last year was not so hot, you're in very talented company. A lot of designers across the country had a not so hot 2024, okay? We need to make 2025 the best ever, and it absolutely can be. Value-based fees, which is the nicest, most elegant way of saying flat fees, is the way to do that. Now, why are they value-based? They're value-based because I'm basing your fees on the outcome, not the hours. I was always a very fast designer. I turned my projects in 90 days, down to the studs and back up when it was a reno. That's pretty insane, okay? There are a lot of designers who aren't so speedy. Not a judgment call, just a reality. So being paid hourly is a massive trap because it's not about how long it takes. It's about the value of the transformation. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to internalize this. I want you to really take this in and own that and go, it's not about how long it takes. Because the value of the transformation is 15 to 20 years for most clients, unless they're in New England or the Midwest, and then it's 20 to 30 years. See, I know my New Englanders, and I know my Midwesterners, okay? So I want you being aware of that. Value-based fees work for every single type of project. They work for finishes, fixtures, and lighting. They work for remodeling and renovation, for new build, for full furnishings, and for a combination of any and all options here. That includes what we like to call scrambled egg projects. Anybody here had a scrambled egg project? And you're like, how am I ever going to do flat fees on this? I can show you how to do flat fees on that. I really can, okay? So value-based fees deliver the confidence that you want, the control you need, and the compensation you deserve. Very, very important. The majority of you in this room with me here today are undercompensated anywhere between 10 and 50%. And 40 to 50% is very common among designers, very common. So it's easy to double your revenues when we correct those deficiencies, okay? I'm gonna be sharing some case studies from clients that I've worked with just so you understand it's not just me up here. It's all the designers that I've worked with. And Lindsay, when she moved to flat fees, she did adopt my discovery process as well. She opened herself up to a much higher caliber of clientele. She stopped taking the little projects, and yet she's had more time than ever for her family. She's got 2 young kids, and for travel and vacations. My definition of a successful business is one that informs and inspires, serves and supports, and fuels and feeds the whole of your life. It does not swallow you whole. This is your invitation to stop sacrificing yourself to your business and to build your business around your life. I want your business to deliver the time and the resources. You have to have both, because if you have gobs of time and no resources, AKA money, that kind of sucks. Or if you have making gobs of money but you have no time to enjoy it, that kind of sucks. So I want you having both, and Lindsay got it. With flat fees, made a massive difference. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. She texted me. She came to an intensive that I held in Scottsdale, and she texted me when she got her first flat fee. And she said, Melissa, first flat fee, $63K, design fee, products on top of that, okay? I was thrilled to pieces. About 2 weeks later, I get another text. She goes, I just hit my highest so far, $92K. Yes, okay? Now, if those numbers sound too high to you, and sometimes they do, I want you to realize you have the same ability. You have the same opportunity. You absolutely do. Before that, Lindsay was nowhere near those levels. Nowhere near. Flat fees make that big a difference. They truly do. So what you're going to learn with me here today is how to truly value design in your services and priceless talent. Because until you can do that, you don't have the confidence to operate within flat fees. And I got to give you that confidence today. Okay? The number one phrase to protect yourself from scope creep. This is essential. You're going to love it. It's super simple. You make sure it's in your agreement, and you are absolutely protected. Okay? How to detail design deliverables so you do not lose your shirt. This is going to be new for a lot of you. You're not used to detailing design deliverables. It is not scope of work. Okay? You're going to understand it exactly. I've got examples for you. And then the 4 proven formulas to calculate value-based fees so you always earn more. There are more than 4 formulas. I have a downloadable success guide that you can get access to completely for free, which I prefer to say complimentary, okay, which is right here on the QR code. You also have a postcard. Each of you were given a postcard. Download it from the postcard. Seriously, this is super valuable stuff. I also included, do I have any kitchen and bath designers in the room? Yeah, kitchen and bath designers, way to go. Okay, K&Bers, I want you going and looking at that because industry standard is 10 to 15%. I got you in at 15 to 20, and my K&Bers are able to get that all day long, okay? And I also often work with K&Bers moving them into furnishings, which is super fun because there's a lot of money there. All right, so I do want you downloading this. Please don't skip that part. It's going to be super valuable for you, and it will save you from having to take a lot of screenshots. You're welcome to take screenshots. I just know you well enough to know if you're anything like I was, you're not going to have a chance to go back and look at them, okay? So I want to talk to you about your true value. This is your hats, okay? What most of you don't realize is you are so much more than a designer. You really are. And this is just 18 of 36 hats. I have been in front of audiences of designers where we came up with the list and we came up with 36 hats. You are a materials master, a project manager. Some of you are contractors. I did that in Atlanta. Color expert, psychologist, own it, okay? Psychic. We have to read the minds of our clients and the contractors. And boy, that contractor mind is a messy place to hang out, eh? Peacemaker, you got to keep the clients together during the renovation, right? Furniture designer, space planner, fabric magician, mood maker, lighting designer, purchasing agent, even when you don't want to be, because that's a tedious job, team leader, outsourced team counts. Okay? Team running your installers in your workrooms counts. For those of you sitting there saying, well, it's just me. Nuh-uh. You remove that just, get that just word out of there, get that only word out of there. It's me. Okay? Big deal. Time management ninja. If you aren't yet, come talk to me. There's a training for that. Okay? Resource professional. Sourcing is one of my superpowers. I led my VIP High Point Market Designer Tour yesterday. Super fun. Creative genius. Can you all please own this one? Just own this one for me. Can we say all together, I am a creative genius? I am a creative genius. Yes. Okay. And a marketing maverick. And some of you are like, no, I hate marketing. Marketing can be fun when you're doing it right and you're getting results. It can be a lot of fun. So I want you to own these hats because I want you to realize I didn't put interior designer up there, did I? I didn't. I didn't even include it. So that's a whole lot of hats on top of being an interior designer. You're only getting paid for one hat. Do you think you deserve a raise? Because I do. Okay? That's what we're here about. So your value factors, your education, your experience, your talent. Your education, by the way, does not have to be in design. I'm absolutely fine if you came from another field. I'm absolutely fine if you didn't get a college degree. That's fine. You're educated in the school of life. Own that, please. Okay? Your experience, your talent, your resources, your team, your hats. We got that, okay? And you heard me say this earlier. Design is a short-term investment. This is so important that you internalize this messaging and you take it and you use it with your clients, okay? When your clients start getting squirrely about the investment, when they start backing up, when they're not prepared to really make it happen, you gotta go, well, hang on. Do you realize y'all are gonna be enjoying this for 15 to 20 years? And they'll be like, what? Yeah, the style and comfort that we're creating for you, you're going to be enjoying that every single day for the next 15 to 20 years. And remember, if they're New Englanders or Midwesterners, it's 20 to 30 years, okay? They hang on to stuff longer. So that's really, really important. It's also important that you do not make it about the pieces. Do not make it about a sofa. Do not make it about a chair. Do not make it about a table. Make it about the functions. And notice my word choices. A place, a place, a place. I could say an interior. What do I not want to say? I don't want to use the word spaces. Don't use the word spaces. It's a designer term. It's trade speak. It's not consumer or homeowner-friendly language. You've got to dial in your language to mirror what the homeowner's going to call it a room, or they're going to call it an interior. You can call it a transformation, but please don't use the word spaces. Place works too. So a place for romance and connection sounds a lot more exciting than a bedroom, right? Okay? Place to entertain sounds better than just a living room. Place to laugh and learn. I'm not sure where that is actually. I have to think hard about that. Might be a home office. Could be a homeschooling space. Okay? Place to relax, refresh, and recharge. Where is that? Bathroom. Boom. But doesn't that sound better? When you start naming those functions, they start becoming more attached and they start getting more excited. When you name it as a bathroom, a bedroom, it doesn't sound very exciting. But when you name what it does for them, that makes it different, okay? So I really want you shifting your language. Your language is everything, okay? Your value is increasing every day with every market you attend, with every course you take, with every new client you enroll, with every new vendor account you set up. Your value is increasing. And frankly, I think that your fees need to keep up. How many of you raised rates in the last year? Let me see a show of hands. Not enough hands went up. Congrats to those of you that did, okay? You can raise your rates more than once a year. Those of you that have been sitting not raising your rates for 2, 3, 4, and 5 years, wow, you're overdue, okay? And I want to give you a little sneaky way that you can get a nice cash flow in the door when you're raising rates because it feels uncomfortable. First of all, give your clients 3 to 6 months when you give them increased rate notice. You can't increase somebody in the middle of a project. That's a no-no, all right? But if you're hourly, Flat fees, it's easy to raise rates. Hourlies, it's harder. But if you're hourly and you're going to move to flat fees, you're going to restructure, which I wholly encourage, I want you to go to them and say, oh, by the way, we're going to be going through a rate restructure. You're really going to like it, but just in case you want to bank some of our time, for those of you that are hourly, we are going to provide an opportunity for you to invest in a package of 20, I wouldn't do less than 20 hours, and you can zoom it up to 100 hours if you want, that must be used in the next 6 months. Okay? So that's a really nice way to get you a nice little cash flow going. It has to be done by this date, and then they have 4 to 6 months to use it. If they don't use it, they lose it, and you keep the money. Okay? And you can stipulate all of that. This is easy to do, and it really does work. Now, ideally, we're going to move you over to flat fees, and it will be a complete non-issue. So Andrea, when she and I started, we started working together back in 2020. We didn't really know yet what was going to happen with the world. By the end of that year, she was 4 times her revenue, and she'd added 4 in team for a total of 5 with her. She has moved at least 3 times since into new spaces each time, and she now has a full showroom and studio. And I'm just so tickled. And what I loved is that I got her home every day, 5, 6 o'clock for dinner with her family, which she was not doing before, and I gave her weekends off. Now, she is a self-professed workaholic. Do I have any self-professed workaholics in the room? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. So if she wants to work her weekends, she can, but she doesn't have to. And that's a gift. Anybody here want to have nights back? Because that really matters. I want you having a supportive family, and you're not going to have a supportive family or supportive spouse if you don't spend time with them. So important. Oh, and by the way, the little notebooks that are on your chairs, the expression, what would Melissa say, came from her husband, because she would go to her husband and say, well, what about this, what about that? And he'd look at her and say, well, what would Melissa say? Because he knew that she wasn't going to hear him. Really common, designers don't listen to their partners or spouses. So you need somebody outside of that who's official to make it work. Okay? Your success is my mission and my goal always. I want you having ideal clients, larger projects with bigger investments. I want you getting the compensation that you deserve based on the long-term value, not how long it takes. And I want you having team for that extraordinary life, and I want you having a business that you love. More often than not, my clients will say to me, Melissa, I've fallen back in love with my business. And that's an enormous compliment to the work that we do together. I love that. I have 35 years in this industry, 30 in Atlanta, 5 at Scottsdale, Arizona. I literally hung up. I did my last design project in 2021. It's completely my choice. I decided I've done enough. I want to coach full-time 120%. I don't do 100% very well. So full-time 120%, but I have all those years of experience. There is nothing that you can throw at me that I will not have a resource for, an answer to, a strategy, or a system. Nothing. Try it. You'll find out. I promise. Okay? Letters of agreement, rates and fees, project management, time management, marketing, you name it, I've touched it. I've wrestled with it. I've solved it, really and truly. So I am from the industry. I'm in the industry. We have 5 proven profit pillars: marketing and sales, rates and fees, systems and processes, team building, and design delivery. And we turned them into a system called Design Business Freedom, which has the client attraction system, the money system. That's where we are today. The freedom system, the talent system, and the scale system. You need all of them. You can't just have one and expect your business to be robust and working well. You need all of it. And the reason I share this one is because I want you to understand that I believe in organic marketing. And I want to give you a little tip today that's going to make a huge difference if you'll apply it. Proximity delivers profits. I don't mean the super cool hotel, by the way, over in Greensboro. Proximity means nearness. If you will get out from behind your laptop, if you will get out from your office, if you will get out from your home, and you will go to places where you can connect with and meet, ideal clients. You will be stunned at what happens. You really will. I know a lot of you are introverts. Don't let this panic you. I have loads of clients who are introverts. Believe it or not, I test as an introvert. I think the test might be broken. I'm not sure. But the reality is, so clients of mine, just this last week, so excited for them. They have a business based in Baton Rouge, and they had done an apartment. He'd done an apartment with his partner up in Manhattan, and they held an open house. And they met the lady across the hall from them who had 2 units that instead of just one, she had 2, and she was moving, and she had sold the place, and she liked them. So she said, well, why don't I introduce you to the buyers? And the buyers are 2 producers from the West Coast. So literally within 24 hours, they have a jumbo new project, all because of proximity. She didn't say, let me show them your website. She didn't say, let me show them your Instagram. She said, let me introduce you. That made all the difference in the world. There was a designer in my intensive on Wednesday who's landed a couple of jobs with no website, no Insta, because she got introduced. So you're allowing these things to stand in your way. They're not real. Don't misunderstand me. I want you having a great website. I want you having a quality Insta. But if you're going to say, well, I don't have a website, I'm going to say, great, get out in person. Get out in person and connect. That will make all the difference in the world, okay? And it really does. So one size does not fit all. You can customize anything I teach you. You can make it work for you. And I give you multiple options for that reason. I'm not a dictator, okay? I have a tool belt that is wide and that is deep. And if a client looks at me and says, Melissa, I'm not sure I love that strategy. I'll be like, okay, how about here's B? You got a C? I got an E, F, and G, okay? So we will find your solution. Very, very important. And I also want you to always remember, you are one of a kind. There is no one else on the planet with your combination of education, experience, expertise, personality, hobbies, and interests. No one. Not even if you're a twin or part of a triplet, okay? You got to adapt your fees per project, per client. You got to find what fits you. This is really important, and don't rely on what someone else is doing. A lot of you are hanging out on social media and you're hanging out in Facebook groups. I love those groups. They're wonderful. Please be very careful about the advice you get. It is free. It is worth what you're paying for it, and you don't know their model. And if you do what they tell you to and it doesn't work for you, it's probably because you don't have the same model they do, okay? So be careful about that, really and truly, and always, always be your best you. So there are 2 types of interior designers. There are 2 types in this room, and there's 2 types in the world. The knowledge collector. Now, I've been a knowledge collector before, exclusively. Didn't really serve me. I felt super smart, though. Oh, boy. Okay, that part was fun, and it's fun to gather knowledge. You're having a good time here right now, right? You are? Yeah? Some smiles? Cool? Okay, good. The challenge is that you are good at gathering, you're not great at implementing. And you're thinking somehow that if you just gather more and kind of become an expertise hoarder, it's going to grow the business. I found out the hard way, that doesn't work. Because I could take all the courses in the world, whether it was real and in person, whether it was a workshop or intensive, whether it was a retreat, whether it was online, whether it was offline, didn't matter. The needle wasn't moving forward in my business. I was like, oh, wait, I have to become a different type of designer. I have to become an action taker. Now, here's the thing about action takers. They know that results come from taking action, however imperfect. How many perfectionists do I have in the room? I'm a recovering. Oh, get your hands up there. Every single one of you is a perfectionist, and I know it, okay? And it's holding you back in certain areas, so I want you to be careful of that. Action takers remove the obstacle of perfection, and they will just jump in. It'll be messy, it'll be dirty, and then there will be aha moments and breakthroughs, okay? So I really need you to get comfortable with that, because I don't want you just being a knowledge gatherer. It is your choice. You prefer success over safety. Being a knowledge gatherer is super safe, super, super safe. There's no risk at all. Being an action taker involves risk. And I want to invite those of you that have been sitting on the fence or sitting on the other side of the fence, being a knowledge gatherer, to make that shift. Because there's two ways to take action. You can DIY. I have had designers in this very same training that you're getting today who came to me 6 months later and said, Melissa, I was in your training 6 months ago. I immediately implemented everything you shared. I took those formulas, I put them in my business, and I doubled my revenues. And I'm like, yes. They didn't work with me. They didn't coach with me. Everything you get today, you can take and double your revenues without me. I'm okay with that. I want you to succeed however you want to succeed. On the other hand, if you want to get coached with a group or privately, I've got options. And you've got a little booklet in your seats that tells you what they are and how to get in touch with me. Because I never want you thinking you're stranded. Never. Really important to me. Okay? So Pamela was another one working 70-hour weeks. I said, so Pamela, how's your relationship with your husband? She said, it's not great right now. I said, what is it because you're not spending any time at home? Well, yeah. So immediately we made a shift. We gave her 2 days out of 5 working at home. That meant she also got to reconnect with her daughter and exercise with her every morning. She was seeing her husband at night for dinner, finally. And I get notes from spouses saying, thank you. You gave me my wife back. In some cases, you gave me my husband back. Okay? That's really important to me. That makes a big difference. But the most important part is she now has time for family and fun and travel. How many of you took a vacation in the last year? Let me see a show of hands. Ooh, not enough hands went up. I saw too many hands that were down on the laps. Okay, I want everybody taking vacations. You should have your vacations booked by January for the rest of the year. How many of you are planning time at the holidays? Ooh, hardly any hands go up. Okay, I get that. I did that for a lot of years in my business too, where for 5 years I just completely sacrificed myself to the business. I had no holidays because I was so busy installing for this and meeting that deadline and doing Christmas for my clients. No way. You can have it all. You can have a thriving business and you can have a thriving life. You truly can. You do not have to sacrifice. Not necessary. So, word changes that I want you to make. Costly, expensive, pricey, steep. Oh, get rid of them. Get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them. Enhanced investment, more of an investment. Here's the beautiful part. I'm going to simplify your vocabulary because I want you to reduce your word choices to invest, investment, investing, invested. That's it. The B word? No. We don't use the B word. You know what the B word is? Budget. It sounds ugly, doesn't it? A budget. What's your budget? If anybody's ever asked you for a budget for anything, I don't know about you, but I seize up in places I didn't even know I could seize up. I'm just kind of like, what? It's like you're asking them for a limitation. It's like, what's your limitation? That's none of your business, okay? So what I have found with clients, though, that I think is super cool is when I say, what's your planned investment? And they'll go, oh, planned investment. Well, what do you think it should be? I'm glad you asked, okay? So when they say, I don't know, don't worry about it. That gives you this massive opening and an opportunity to say, well, in our experience, I think you can plan to invest between $250 and $350 on these 5 rooms, okay? Now, they're going to have a reaction to that. Their reaction could be, oh, $250, okay, we can do that. They could have a $250. We thought it was going to be $150. Oh, well, then okay, you might want to have another kind of conversation. Maybe they're not going to be the right fits, or maybe you need to, pull back on the design details, aka scope of work. Okay? They could also, and this has actually happened to a couple of my designers that I coach, they could say, oh, $350. We'd earmarked $400 for this. Okay? It does happen. It really does. You have to remember, do any of you here get to see your clients' bank statements? No, I didn't think so. Do any of you here get to see their investment statements? Nope, I didn't think so either. So you have to stop acting as if you know what they're going to invest. because you don't have a clue. And that's a good thing. You want to let them be in charge of that, okay? Really, really important. So budget becomes planned design investment, project investment, design investment, investment in comfort and style. You see how I did that? I juiced it. It's not just an investment, it's what's your investment in your comfort and style? And they're like, oh, an investment in our comfort and style. We didn't think of it that way. We just thought it was going to be a big expenditure. No. I've reframed it. I've taken all the sting out and put all the ROI in. And design has a massive ROI. Your services and your products have a massive ROI. It's going to outstrip the ROI on their car, their boat, the car they're going to buy their 16-year-old, definitely. You know, it's a huge ROI. Shopping. No, please. I don't want to hear any of you use the word shopping. You source, you specify, you procure. You don't shop. Homeowners shop, okay? Homeowners buy, they don't procure, and they don't ever specify, they pick out, okay? You're specifiers, and you're all excellent at it. So you really want to put yourself into a higher category, and everything you say, every word you use is positioning you. It's all positioning you. Okay, so I don't want you to lose your shirt. Here is the clause. Additions and changes require a change order and additional fee. If you will put that in your agreement every single time, you will protect yourself, guaranteed. Precise deliverables are necessary, and I'm going to get to those in half a second here, but additions and changes require a change order and additional fees. Now, I know a lot of designers will say, but Melissa, I'd have change orders every day. No, that means you're not planning things right. So let's say your deliverables include 5 meetings with the client at their home for up to 90 minutes. Yes, deliverables are that specific. And the very first meeting, it runs to 3 hours. You just need to think yourself, you know, it's going to do that every time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to comp it the first time. I'm going to let the client know I've comped that overage, but we're going to do a change order for the rest of the meetings and make them all 3 hours. And you're not going to do a change order in hours. It's a change order with a flat fee. I'm not going to do a change order for less than $550. It's not worth it. Okay? That's your minimum change order. And you can have change orders that are $50,000. That's fine. So your design fee, and that's what we're going to talk about first, is your design fee. This is what it includes. This should not be a surprise to anybody here. All right? It's all plans, drawings, conceptual sketches and renderings, all mood boards and presentations, all project sourcing, all finish and fixture selections throughout renovated and existing spaces, all furniture, rug, lighting, selections. That word is really important. This does not include procurement. Okay? So we go up to that point. Now, here is an example of deliverables. Tight deliverables. This is also in your download, I promise. In fact, it's more detailed in your download because I'm not hemmed in by the size of the slide. But here's the thing. You notice how I put numbers here? I do not want you using the word all or any ever. Ever, okay? One project vision board. If you don't want to use a project vision board, don't include it. This is just an example. If you're like, Melissa, I don't use a project vision board, I use a mood board, then put mood board. Okay, it's an example. It's meant to be customized. 2 floor plans per room. You might do, oh no, we only do 1. Fine, book 1. But please don't put all floor plans. The reason being the client can keep asking you for more and more and more and more and destroying your fee, okay? 1 finished board per room. You might be, oh, no, I do 2. Well, okay, knock yourself out. Just make sure you're compensated for it. 1 set of construction docs. You wouldn't generally do 2. That would be weird. Same thing on permits. 2 furniture selection boards. Now, here's the important part. You see that 2 items revised? I'm not saying 2 revisions, because if I say 2 revisions, guess what? They can say, I want a whole new room board. No, you get to revise 2 items. Might be a chair, might be a sofa, might be a lamp, might be a rug. But you get 2 items, not the whole thing. Okay? Is this making sense? Yes. Yeah? Sounding better than what you're doing now? Okay. One elevation of each custom built-in. You're not doing 5 elevations, but here's the thing. Even though I've done these trainings so many times, I still have designers who've even attended these trainings, and they'll say, I don't know what's wrong, Melissa, and then they'll show me what they're doing. I'm like, you've got the word all and any in your deliverables. No, remove it, please, because you've just opened yourself up to abuse. I don't want you being abused, okay? Notice the client meetings. There's a time limit. Now, if you know that your client meetings are always going to be 2 hours or 3 hours, or goodness forbid 5, yikes, put that in there, that's fine. Don't try to cap them at 32 an hour. It's not going to happen. But I want you putting a limit. This is about creating healthy boundaries in your design practice, okay? So here's another one. This is without the construction piece. It's very similar. I just took the construction docs out, okay? And I shortened the client meetings are 5 of them. But you notice I put in-home. I could have put 5 in-home, 5 Zoom. There's going to be a different fee for the Zoom ones. I'm going to lower my fee on the Zoom because I'm not having to leave the office. But I do want in one big reveal. You can say a grand reveal, big reveal. Here's the reason I use that language. Not because of HGTV, but it was smart language on their part. It sounds so much sexier than one installation. An installation doesn't sound sexy, does it? We're going to give you an installation. Whoop-de-doo. You know, you gotta frame it so they're looking forward to the grand reveal. You know, it might be a ginormous reveal, might be a petite reveal. You know, you can pick the kind of reveal you want, but use the words that are sexy and fun for the client. Okay, really important. Sexy and fun words for the client. So, if you were to come to me and say, Melissa, I need your help running numbers for a project, I can do it for you in literally 10 minutes, but I gotta have all of this. Now, all of this is not hard to get, okay? The first one is the hardest thing to get. I have so many designers who did you have the money conversation? No. I'm like, well, we don't wanna move forward without the money conversation. Before you get to your letter of agreement, you should have 3 money conversations with the client. I'm not kidding. And they need to be early and often. You got to get comfortable with that. It's a medium of exchange. It's not life or death. It's not personal, okay? So you got to ask them their planned investment. If they say, I don't know, you say, fantastic. Let me dive in a little bit deeper, and I'll come up with a range for you based on our experience and what we know you're looking for, and then we can discuss it. Now, when you give them the range, you do have to say, where are you in that range? And zip it and see what they say and go from there. It's a dialogue. It's a back and forth, okay? I don't want you going, I think it's going to be $250 to $350. And they could have been thinking $450, and they'd be fine with that, okay? So you don't second guess it. Estimate of design time for project. Those of you that are hourly should be able to give me an estimate of your design time. Value of the home by square foot. It's on Zillow or Realtor.com. Your website inquiry needs to ask for the address of the project. Stop this nonsense where you're saying city and state. How does that help you? They're probably in your city, probably in your state. That is not very helpful, okay? Square footage of the project. I can't always work square footage. I can only use square footage if I've got the whole floor or the whole house. It will not work on a bathroom. It will not work on a kitchen. Do not try it. Does not work on individual rooms. You will lose your shirt, okay? List of rooms, if not working by floor or house. Scope of work. Now, scope of work is our terminology. I never called scope of work, I never put that in an agreement. I put design details. It means exactly the same thing, but they don't know what scope of work is. They're just not going to tell you they don't know because they're smart, they're accomplished, they're educated. They don't speak our language, okay? And always apply a minimum of 2 formulas for verification. Always, always, always. I want you having a check balance, okay? Really important. If you have all of this, it makes it so much easier. So percentage of project cost, I love this method. So simple, so clean. This only works if you've got a contractor who's willing to be transparent, a builder who's willing to be transparent. Many of them are, just as many of them are not. If they aren't, you cannot use this method. Now, when I used this method, I didn't need the contractor to be because I was the one GCing the project. Okay? I was in Atlanta. I was able to do that without a GC license. I can't do that now without a GC license in Atlanta. Laws have changed. The laws in your state are the laws in your state. I'm not here encouraging you to break laws at all. But that's how I was also able to hit my 90-day. I only hit my 90-day whenever I was running the project. If a client brought in an outside contractor, oh, hell's bells, bye-bye 90 days. You know, kind of bites. Now, clean and simple, 15 to 35%. I did 30%, and I got it not only on all product, but I got it on all labor. And this was a project that was supposed to be $70K and soared to $500,000 in 90 days. Not too bad. Okay? And I didn't drop my percentage. Now, there are designers that drop their percent as the project grows, and I've never understood that. Kind of like, why would I do that? I don't understand. It's more work. It's more square footage. It's more opportunity. Why would I drop my percent? So I never drop my percent. It mirrors architects and builders. The only problem we have with that is that our percent seems high to them because they don't realize it's on a smaller number. And so it's just one of those things. If they try to quote for you, try to avoid that at all costs. Those of you that want to work with builders and contractors, do not work for them, work through them. They must refer you directly to the client, or you will make half of what you deserve. Because builders and contractors tend to be cost effective. Y'all know what I'm saying, okay? They're very cost effective. They're very frugal, okay? It does require a minimum project size, and you can stipulate your minimum project size in your agreement so that if once you're signed on board, the client starts to play hatchet job, you're going to be protected still. And it's not finite for the client, but that's their problem, not mine. I believe clients have a responsibility in the project as well, so they need to be aware. So it's super easy to calculate. This is the math. Don't make it complicated. I share the math because a lot of designers get concerned about flat fees because of the math. I am not a math major. I'm an English major. This is basic math, okay? I promise it's not hard. So square foot method, everybody tends to love this, but you're using it in the wrong places if you're trying to do it room at a time. Will not work. 3 to 35 a square foot. Now notice the plus plus. This is a range. This isn't a limit. If you want to go to 55, 105, 305 a square foot, do it. Do it. I want you to tell me about it. Awesomeness. Okay? I have no problem with that whatsoever. Now, it's very simple to calculate. It's finite for the client. It's flexible per project. You must define your deliverables. There's no room to grow it unless they actually give you more square footage. Okay? So you got to do this right. Now, I'm going to give you some ranges here that are not on a screen, not on a slide, that will help you. Finishes, fixtures, and lighting. If you are brought in to do strictly those three, let's say it's new construction and they're not ready for you to do furnishings, they just want you for finishes, fixtures, and lighting. 5, I prefer you to be at 7. Ideally, you're at 10 a square foot. So 5 to 10 a square foot. If you're doing commercial, it's far less because the square footage is so much higher. So if those of you are going, oh, that sounds like a lot, I'm used to doing commercial. Yeah, my commercial designers are like at 150 a square foot. But the square footage numbers are vast. So I had a gal with a project, 9,400 square feet. She charged the client $10 a square foot, $94,000 fee just for finishes, fixtures, and lighting. Would any of you turn that down? No, good, excellent. We're getting somewhere. Awesome, okay. So when you do remodeling, it kind of climbs up from there. So remodeling would be 13 to 20, but I have a client upstate New York. I think Danielle's in this presentation. We'll get to her. She did 35, and I looked at her and said, really? She said, she's not in Manhattan. She's in upstate New York, Rochester. And she said, yeah, I ran the numbers 2-3 times, came out with the same one. She said, I knew it was going to be worth it. I presented it to the clients. I said, yes. Okay, she'd lost all that fear factor. She had this confidence, and she'd run the numbers. Okay, so it really makes a difference. So she went to 35. In other parts of the country, you're going to use other numbers. When you get to furnishings, if there's remodel, furnishings, and finished fixtures, lighting, you're usually 25 to 30 a square foot. If it's all three. Furniture by itself, 10 to 15. Andrea, remember you met Andrea up here on the screen in Livermore, California? Andrea's first project with me, it was so funny. She had the VP with Zoom in 2020. Well, we all know what Zoom has done since then. And her first project, she comes to me and she goes, Melissa, I'm gonna do $7.50 a square foot for remodel. I said, double it. She literally got the dry heaves right in front of me on Zoom. I was like, whoa. Hang on. Can you get to $13.50? She said, yes, I can. I said, okay, do it. So she was in the car before she went into her meeting, and she texts me and she goes, my stomach's in knots. I've got dry mouth. I said, you're going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And she gave the fee to the client. It was $46,000. And the only question he asked her, and the one you need to be prepared to answer, is, what's the basis for your fee? She said, $13.50 a square foot. He goes, whips out his checkbook and writes a check on the spot. Now, that meant she left money on the table, and I was like, oh, no. But she could not physically have asked for more. Her body was in revolt at that point, okay? I don't generally want your body in revolt. I do want you having a knot in your stomach, or I do want you feeling a little queasy with your numbers, because if you don't, you're definitely leaving money on the table. This is a negotiation place. The client could have pushed back, and she could have educated them into the value. Not defended, not explained, educated into the value. And that makes all the difference in the world as well. But I really want you to understand how many of you are leaving money on the table every single time you ask for fees, because you're not asking for enough. If the client doesn't pause, take a deep breath, raise an eyebrow, sometimes it's a, well, that's maybe not good. But again, if you just stay quiet, they'll resolve it in their head. And you won't even have a conversation. Or they'll say, how can we do this for less? And you say, well, we'll be able to remove this and remove this and remove this. Never, ever reduce your fee without removing something. If you do, it means you have no fee basis, no fee backbone, and they can just whip you around all over the place. And I don't want to see that happen. I see it happen a lot, and it really frustrates me. So Andrea was able to do it, and she has gone to stratospheric heights since then. It's the coolest thing in the world to see her growth. It really is. She's one who loves having a team. She thrives on it. There are other designers who don't. I work with both. There's no mandatoriness here. I have designers who are hitting all sorts of cool metrics with a team of 2 or 3 or strictly outsource. So there's no formula to this in that sense. It's your business your way. Every designer is unique. Your business should be as unique as you are, really and truly. So let's look at the math. What I love about square foot math is a small bump in the square foot shows up really nicely at the bottom line. So if you're like, well, I'm between 20 and 25, go 24.50. Okay? Now, why do I put 50s and 75s and things like that on the end? Because it sounds like a more real number. It doesn't sound like something I just kind of came up with. And I didn't come up with them. I have my ranges, but I always like to put some cents on there, whether it's 50 cents, plus which, if you're saying to a client, it's $24.50, kind of like if you were saying to a client, and you were talking in thousands, if you say it's $24,500, it sounds better than $24,000. Think about that. Whenever you can avoid saying 1,000 on the end and say 100 on the end, or say a 75 on the end, do it. It just sounds like less, and they'll go for it every time. So this by life-size plans, super cool service. They have a warehouse. They blow your plans up to life size, and you walk your clients through. I have a client of mine doing this in Texas on a regular basis now because her projects are so large. Super, super cool. Super, super cool. So here's Danielle. And she was in a really dark, frustrated place when she came to me. And we had to make a lot of things shift for her. She had the wrong team on board. She wasn't delegating effectively. She deployed the VIP paid wait list. And she had a 6-month wait list very quickly. Now, how many of you think projects that are going to maybe start in 3 months, or you have clients that said they want to work with you, but you don't have capacity for them right now? Anybody here in that position? Okay. Do you have them on a paid wait list? Like they've given you a non-refundable deposit of a minimum of $10,000? Yes? Okay. It's a minimum $10,000 because that's a number they won't walk away from. I've had designers who take their whole half of the 50% design fee, which is a lot more than $10K in a lot of cases. But you've got to do that, and then they have an exact start date. So right now, for example, many of you are in the throes of fourth quarter. It's crazy. It's busy. You're like, oh, Melissa, I couldn't take another project if I wanted to. That's fine. We'll be launching new projects January 2025. You don't say we're not taking on new projects right now. Do not put a no in front of them. Put a yes and. We'll be launching new projects April 15th, 2025. Do you have the capacity to wait? And we'll put you through our design discovery process. We'll create your letter of agreement, and we'll take a non-refundable deposit against design fees, and we will engrave your name on our calendar. And then if you have a chance to warm them up a little bit, you want to keep them warm, and they will be so excited to start with you. By the way, if on your website inquiry form you just put booking for January 2025, you will see a surge in business because people will go, oh, there's a wait list. They're in demand. I need to get on the schedule. I had this happen with a workshop that I led, and several of the gals came to me and they said, all I did was put that phrase in my website inquiry form, and all of a sudden I had people coming out of the woodwork. So they're there, but there's no sense of urgency for them to move forward. And we want to create this sense of urgency. So Danielle's in a very different place now, including having vacations, and she's the one who nailed that $35 a square foot on a remodel, which I loved. Super cool. So hourly with a multiplier. Now, this is a backup method. This is not a forward-facing method. You cannot use this method with your clients. Because if they say, what's the basis for your method, you can't say, well, I took my hours estimated per what Melissa told me to do, and then I gave myself a $50 an hour or raise on my hourly rate, and then I put 1.5 times all of it. And the client's gonna hear, you what? So no, you have to back in square footage to be able to say this out loud to the client. But design time, this is just a guesstimate, 150 hours times hourly rate. Now, my minimum hourly rate to calculate this is 200. So those of you that are at less than 200, I just gave you up to 200. Those of you that are more than 200, just pop $50 on top of your current rate so you can make this work, okay? Now, I use 1.5. Why am I doing that? I'm using 1.5 because that's how much you're leaving on the table. I'm trying to cover for the losses that you're sustaining on a regular basis. Now, if everybody know what a PITA client is? Pain in the... Okay, I thought so. All right. So here's the thing. If you got a PITA client, you need a higher multiplier. So you want to go 1.75. I had one designer I was working with. She looked at me and she said, Melissa, I know that this client is going to be one of the royalest of PITAs ever. And so I just went clear to 2.0. I'm like, you go. Okay? I'm not going to stop you from earning more. I'm not. I'm never going to stand in the way of your profit. That would be goofy. So this is a backup method. I don't really want you using this all the time. It's kind of the lazy man's way out, and it's not going to put you into square foot. It's not going to put you into percent of project cost in the next one that we're going to touch on. But I want you to have it as a backup method because I want you to see what you've been leaving on the table. Every single one of you would be aghast if you'd done this for all the projects this year. You'd be taking a really nice European vacation right now, or funding your 401k, or retirement, or the kids' college fund, or buying those new shoes. So many things you could do. All right, so make this a pay in full or scheduled. It's best on predictable projects that you know the client. You've got to fully understand the time required in order to educate them into the value. And the problem is it's revolving around time again. So you're not getting to focus on the ROI, the ROI, the ROI, the ROI. You know, the challenge with time-based invoicing, clients ask questions. They go, well, 6 hours to find our sofa. Well, it would have taken me an hour. Okay. I mean, I remember the days when I would be like pulling hours off of one thing and putting them on something else. I never discounted them completely. Most designers just take them off completely, and I never did that. But I would have to move the hours around. I'd be like taking it off the powder bath, wall covering, which took several hours, and putting it on the sofa, which took me 30 minutes. I mean, what a waste of time. You can reclaim a day a week. A day a week. Imagine that. You could have a 4-day work week with flat fees. How cool would that be? And finally be making the money that you deserve. So I really want you being careful about this. Again, success guide. All of this is in there. I promise it's totally free to you. And I've seen those screenshots, and it's cracking me up because I know you're not going to look at them again. I know that. They're not going to make any sense. You're going to be like, I don't know Melissa's narration. Where's the narration? Now, Universal does do you all a huge favor. This is being filmed, okay? I don't know. I might have stepped behind the lovely post right here a few times too often. But this is being filmed, and Universal has an entire library of all of their presentations. So you really want to take advantage of that. It's super cool. They do this on every market. Combination rate. This is one of my favorites. Okay, so it's the fixed design fee. It's the formulas we've already discussed for the design fee. And then we're adding product into it. Now, most of you are doing product, but I could do a whole separate training on how to charge for product because there are like 18 different methods out there. It's nuts. And I don't believe in certain terminology. So those of you using the term reasonable retail, what? What is that? The word retail no longer has any value is one of our biggest problems because of the internet. We have to blame the internet, okay? So I like designer net 25 to 60% on top thereof, okay, for product. It's transparent. It's transparent. Now, if you are getting stocking dealer, I don't want you giving your stocking dealer to your client. I want you keeping the gap between stocking dealer and designer net, and then you price them on designer net. And if something is custom, you are the source of the cost, so you can make it anything you want. Anything you want, okay? But I really want you being careful because there are a lot of clients shopping out there, grossly inappropriate on their part. Your letter of agreement should stipulate that product purchased by the client during the course of the project is subject to your 25 to 60% because you have to manage it and install it. Now, I also have a creating expectations piece, and that stipulates we respectfully request that once we are out of inspiration stage on your design project, you will stay off the internet as it relates to your project. As it relates to your project, we've got you, okay? If you don't state that, you're gonna wind up with those clients who text you 5 times a day with their selections and their ideas, and you have to cut it off at the start. Set the expectation accurately, and you won't have a problem, or you'll know this is gonna be a train wreck. I don't think I wanna take it on. You get to choose your clients. It's not a one-way street. And many of the designers that I've worked with will go through an uncomfortable sort of dry spell, be like, Melissa, I want to say no. And then say no. It's okay. The big one's coming. The big one's coming. The big one's coming. We script for it. We set intentions for it. We put them in new places to do marketing for it. We'll do a website renovation for it. We'll renovate social media for it. We attack the mindset piece because the mindset is so important. None of this matters if your mindset doesn't change. None of it, really and truly. So that matters a lot. There are designers who can charge retail. I do have one that charges retail. He creates his own retail And that's all he charges, and that's completely his choice. I have others that I've worked with that stick with that and then add the design fee on top, which I love. You know, again, you're designing for something that somebody's living in 24/7, 365 for the next 15 to 20 years, or 20 to 30. They're Midwester, New Englanders. That's a big deal. It's not their car. Their car, they might be in a couple hours a day. Their home, they're in a lot more, especially people who are remote working. So I want you to really take a close look at that. Find out from your client, how many hours a day are you in your living room? How many hours a day are you in your kitchen? You need to ask these kind of questions because they will give you intel you need that will help you, okay? So, procurement management fee. I don't call it a markup, but that's what that 25 to 60% is. It's a procurement management fee, and this is what it includes. And you can number this and put this in your agreement. When the client says, that's a markup, no, it's not. That's our procurement management fee, and that includes the following. Now, you can also look the client in the eye and say, gosh, have you got a loading dock at your home? And a receiver, a trained receiver that can be there between 8 and 6 every day, able to receive all the furnishings and inspect them appropriately? And can they send us pictures? Because we need to make sure we know what came in. And of course they can't, okay? And ask them, are they going to issue purchase orders? Are they going to track their purchases? No, of course they're not. So you're tasked with doing all of that. That's why there is a 25 to 60%. I have designers at 25. I have designers at 60. I have designers at 45. It's a choice, okay? So it's not a markup. It's not a markup. I want to make sure you understand that. It's really, really important. Don't use the word markup. That's an ugly, ugly word. If you went to buy a car, would you want to pay a markup? No. You might be willing to pay a handling fee. You know, they bury it with other stuff too, but you want to be careful about that. So there's retail never more than internet, retail less with a savings or discount. I don't use the term discount. Discount impairs value. Savings does not. Savings incentivizes, okay? And to me, this is my choice. This is my favorite. Now, again, those clients of mine that are charging at retail, I'm not going to tangle with that. They've done it for long enough. They're really happy with it. I don't force fits. I respect, and we go down all other avenues. They're not having a problem with it. None of their clients are backing up hard. There are clients in certain markets that retail would be absolutely not acceptable. So it's your market, it's the level of client you're working with. All of those things make a difference. And Anya was not too sure what her 24 was going to look like, but it was really interesting because in the very first part of 24, she changed to flat fees. She changed her discovery process, and it meant 3 new ideal clients. She was able to say no to all small projects, and her design fee averages were in the high 90s and into the 100K mark, which was just super cool. It transformed her entire business and how she looked at it. She also wound up getting 1 team member on board and outsourcing to others. And she also leveraged professional photography. Now, she has amazing photography on her site, and it's made a huge, huge difference for her. Those of you not using professional photography, you are literally putting a big orange cone in front of your business, a big obstacle. You are not photographers. I have 1 design client over the years that has that talent. She did it for her first website, and she said, Melissa, I will never do it again. The editing took her 3 months. It was brutal. So professional photography is mandatory for a designer who is serious about success in this business. Mandatory. Don't take a course on how to use your iPhone for photos. Okay, just don't do it. Just outsource it. And it has to be an interior design photographer, not a real estate photographer. That makes a huge difference too. So, you know, how you'll feel with value-based fees, more in control, more at ease, more confident, and infinitely more profitable, really, really makes a difference. Now, did you learn how to truly value yourselves? Does anybody here feel more confident now than you did when you started? Yeah? Awesome. Okay. How about the number one phrase? Can anybody give it back to me? Additions and changes require a change order and additional fees. How to detail design deliverables. I know you got that. It was on the screen here. It's also in your Success Guide download. Another screenshotting. I love that. I saw that. And then the 4 proven formulas. And I know a lot of you are working room by room. That is absolutely great. Download that Success Guide. The ranges are in there. Start at the top of the range. Don't start at the bottom. Okay? And you can always go above it. So, for example, I have a designer I've worked with in Westchester, New York. And she had a retail store. She was making no money on design fees at all. None. She was just making it on furnishings. And she was also winding up giving her clients a discount on furnishings. I'm like, well, this isn't working well for you. So we got her to a place where she used per room fees. Her average per room fee is $10,000 per room. So imagine when she would do 3 rooms, she automatically had a $30,000 boost over what she used to do. Super cool. Super cool. So which one are you going to be? Are you going to be the action taker and the moneymaker, or are you going to be the observer and the knowledge expert? Yeah. Yeah, you do want to be the action taker. I do have a book signing immediately following this. I will answer questions. The book is A Language of Success, 35 word choices to boost your worth and your wealth. You learned a handful of them here today. There are a lot more. And your word choices, if you make a change on budget to investment in just 30 to 90 days, you will see a difference positively at your bottom line. You absolutely will. I get too many emails telling me that. It's super cool. It's super, super cool. It really is. And how your design business will feel with Design Business Freedom, because flat fees are integral to everything that I teach. They really are. I think hourly is the worst trap there is. And I was trapped in it for many, many years. I really was. I understand hourly inside out. I understand the pitfalls with it. And here's the thing, clients, if you're worried about them moving over to flat fees, don't be, because it takes all the surprises out. Imagine how hard it is for them to manage a project that's getting a $3,000 invoice this month, $30,000 next month, $10,000 next month, and so on and so forth. It's kind of bonkers. It does not work well. If you want to find me anyplace else at High Point, this is where I will be. I'm speaking tomorrow. I'm speaking on Monday. I would love to see you there. I truly would. And as I said, I'll take some Q&A, and then we'll do book signing here. And anything I can do to serve and support you, please just ask. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Yes, sir. Question? Can you stand? Thank you. That's okay. It depends entirely on your market. Where are you located? You live in High Point. Okay. Look at your circles of influence. Who do you know? Are you new to High Point? No. You know a lot of people. So first things first, you all have got to get the word out to the people that know you. A lot of them, they don't know what you do. So you got to get the word out. And this actually works really well for those of you that are more established in business. You need to take a close look. Did you ever contact your alumni? Does your doctor, your dentist, do they know what you do? Did you tell that social circle that you have what you do? You need to get the word out to everybody and their brother. You really do. That'll make a difference. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Stand, please.
Just to piggyback on real estate agents have been really good for me. A lot of my business comes from them.
Good.
But I just had a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Something I'm not super clear on. When we talk about the project investment, are the design fees?
Your design fees need to be embedded in that conversation. So if you're saying to somebody it's going to be $250 to $350, don't say plus design fees, because they're going to be like, well, how much are design fees? You have to embed them. Yes, yes. Don't make design fees an add-on. That's not going to land well. Okay? Additional questions? Yes, ma'am. Are PETA clients ever really worth it? You know, that is a really great question, because when I think back to the true PETA clients that I had, I did wind up firing them, and it cost me a lot of peace of mind, a lot of profit at the bottom line. Sometimes you don't know they're a PITA until you get into it. So that's the tricky sticky. Yeah. Yeah. Additional questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you do a flat fee, and do you always ask for a retainer or an upfront deposit even when you're
You're getting 50% of your flat fee up front. You get if it's a design fee only, you get the balance 2 weeks before presentation, and then you can kick in your procurement management fee. You never want to wait until the end of the project to have a balance because your leverage is the furnishings. If you wait till the end of the project, it's very likely your clients will pay you, but in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, and you're sweating bullets the whole time, and that's bogus nonsense. I want you working into the money, never chasing it. Never chase the money, work into it.
I've done it where I get a deposit, and then like as you're getting into the project, like 1 month, the next first of the month you pay a percentage or a part of it, second month, third month, until it's done.
You can do that. I prefer getting money in larger chunks. It's just what I found works best. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious, so you at the beginning of the project, you are telling them about the design fee
Oh, yeah.
and the procurement fee. That's
Oh, yeah.
broken out,
Yeah.
even though it's lumped together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Down to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the procurement fee, you're billing that down like after?
No, the procurement fee can be billed with each invoice because it can be added as a line item on the invoice. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
As you're building the project total, so it's there, what they want to spend on furniture, and then
What they want to what?
like what they're spending.
Well, no, what they want to what? Yes. There we go. That's okay.
What they're investing.
Yeah.
And then your fee. Are you putting that together? How are you?
Yeah, they see, here's the thing. With your letter of agreement, your letter of agreement should not exceed their anticipated project investment, including your fees. So your letter of agreement has your fees, and you should be referencing that we anticipate your project will be at this level. Okay?
So the design fee is the letter of agreement.
And so is the procurement. Design fee and procurement are all on the same agreement. It's all one agreement. Yeah. Yeah. Questions? Yes. Uh-huh.
The VIP waitlist
Uh-huh.
you mentioned collecting a minimum of 10,000 upfront. Do you not have a letter of agreement in place?
Yeah, they're going to sign your letter of agreement.
And then
They're going to sign your letter of agreement, and they're going to, if you can get 50%, get 50%. Absolutely. And then they are signing it, and your start date is. Okay? Yes, ma'am. You don't need them. You don't need them with flat fees. You only need retainers when you're doing hourly so that you're working in chunks of hours. But that defeats the whole reason to move to flat fees. I'm an advocate of getting, on design fees, of getting 50% up front and then 50% 2 weeks before presentation. And then procurement's a whole separate animal. Okay, does that help? Okay. Any more questions? Yeah. Yeah.
You're so passionate about this way of charging, and you've been
Uh-huh.
doing this for 35 years.
Uh-huh.
Do you think we all hurt each other by all the different ways we all charge? Because when our clients call us, they're comparing us, and they say, "Oh, well, this person's doing it hourly, and I can absorb this hourly rate thing that seems more plausible."
Okay, so here's the thing. Most clients, and this is the part that's probably going to really blow your minds, most clients are not making a decision based on fee. They're not. They're making it based on feeling a connection to you. And that's why you need points of connection. That's not what this training is about today, but it's what the marketing that I do, the points of connection, how to bring them to the surface, how to make them known. And the thing about that is, even your energetic state. So for example, if you're having one of those quake days where you're feeling really a lack of confidence, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to ask for this? That transmits to the client. They won't be able to identify it as that, but they'll be, something just doesn't feel right. And so that's why how you feel on any given day makes a big difference in your design practice. If you are one of those folks who likes to go around, with kind of a, frumpy and down kind of feeling, and you're not confident and everything's going badly, you're gonna have a tough time getting business. People want to be around people that they enjoy, people that they feel like, wow, that's somebody who's got some energy, And when you're having fun doing something, you're automatically at your most magnetic and memorable. Is it confusing for clients the different ways? Our industry has like 20,000 different ways you can do everything. It's nutso. But you can't follow the flock and just say, well, I'm going to stay with hourly because it's going to be easier for clients. It's not, though. All those surprises, that's how you frame it for the client. And by the way, there's a full page in the success guide that has value-based fee, how to sell it. You guys definitely want that because it will help you with this very question. But one of the things is, we found that we didn't love the surprises that hourly gave to you as our clients. So we wanted to come up with a better rate structure that would eliminate those surprises. And we hope you appreciate what we've done, and we've made it much simpler. And while the numbers are going to feel a little bit bigger than they did before, we found that you actually wind up coming out ahead because it's not unlimited. It's capped. So, you come out ahead, but we don't want to tell them that. Does that help answer the question? Kind of, sort of? Because you're right, there are a gazillion and one ways to charge. There are. Yes?
You did say something about how we could refine this again. Where?
Yeah, the success guide. It's you have a little postcard right there. That's your success guide. You got it. Yes? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Do you have a laptop? The world is your market. There's a place where you right. So there's a place where you have to educate them into the value, and you may need more conversations with your clients because they are not as sophisticated as like the one you have in Manhattan, and that's okay. No, I don't want you following the flock and ending up a lamb chop. Okay? I really don't. And there's nothing wrong with being the highest one in the market because you're worth it. And your design is worth it, and the transformation that you're creating is worth it. And remember, those small town folks, they still need that reminder that it's a short-term investment, long-term ROI. Most clients don't think that way. They don't realize that, oh my gosh, I flip my car every 5 years, and my car's $50,000. She's just asking me for $50,000 for our living room, and I'm only in the car like an hour a day. I'm in my living room 6 hours a day. So you start looking at it that way, and it takes on a whole new dimension. I have 1,000,001 ways to do all of that, by the way. But I do want you to have an idea of start looking at the context. Put design and your fees in a context that makes sense to your clients, and they'll have a much easier time. It's like, and the car metaphor is a really good one, especially when you have a stubborn, usually it's a stubborn male husband at home sort of thing. And you start to ask him about, so how many hours a day are you in your car? It's a sweet little Beamer you got in that garage spot there. How many hours a day are you in the car? And you don't even have to carry the metaphor all the way through. And he goes, okay, I get it. You just have to point out something that makes it easier for them to contextualize the investment. Okay? Yes? Can you stand so we can hear you? Yeah. Red flags are going to be different for every designer. Some designers can take a high degree of anxiety from a client, some cannot. It's the reason my discovery process is 4 to 5 steps. It is not a 20-minute let's play footsie on the phone conversation. Because I want to get to know them. And I want to determine if they're really somebody that I want to work with and that I want to invite into my life. Because design's a long process too. And design's also very intimate. Think about it this way. You need to know what goes in that nightstand drawer without asking. Do you need a deep drawer? Do you need 2 shelves? You know, because you don't really want to know the details of what's going in the nightstand drawer. It's like the bathroom and the closets. We see the spaces that nobody else sees. So you have to decide, is that person's energy something I want to play with? And if you can make it so that you really research them. I mean, that's why I want you having their full name. I want you having their location address. I want you doing the Google searches. I want you doing the Instagram search. I want you doing the Facebook search. You're not going to connect with them on those places, but you're going to see what they're like. A lot of people have public Facebook pages and they have public Instagrams, and you can see what they're like, and you can see what their communication styles are. Ooh, I don't really love what they're saying here. You can find out their politics. You got to decide who you want to play with, you know, on that front too. So there's a lot of different criteria. My red flags might not be your red flags. And in some cases, you know, okay, so for example, one client, she was signed on board. She was really intense. This is many, many moons ago. This was so long ago that we still wore hose. Yeah, you look young enough that you might never have actually done that. I don't know. But we still, and here was the funny part. This woman polished her floors with Pledge. So we were told 5 times before our first consult at the home to take our shoes off. And we were skating on those floors. Now, this should have been my cautionary note. I was still very young in my business. I was only in my first 5 years. And we took it on. Ultimately, I mean, I did the projects with her then, moved to another house. I worked with her then again. And then I was like, no, And she came back and she wanted more. I said, gosh, you know, I've raised my rates and I just don't think that's going to work well for you. And she kept pushing and pushing, and I finally just said, you know, I'm just not going to be available for the next 24 months. Good Lord. You know, she couldn't take a hint because she was a nightmare to work with, an absolute nightmare. She cursed a blue streak. I mean, like words I did not even know. My installers up her stairs, carrying really heavy pieces. She was so rude, and I was just mortified. And I didn't see all that behavior at the front end. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Now I have a communication clause in my agreement, and I also have a place that says you must behave in a respectful and courteous manner at all times, or we reserve the right to terminate the agreement. Oh, and keep the money, absolutely, and charge a nastiness fee. There you go. Does that help? Kind of, sort of, a little bit. Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're collecting half of the 45 to initiate the project, and the balance before the presentation. Detailed. The what? The what? Okay. I'm trying to get you guys to switch your words as fast as I can. Okay. You're collecting the procurement before you place orders. You collect all of the money for the furnishings before you place orders. Now, if you want to collect 80% or 70% instead of 100%, that's your choice. I collected 70% for many years, but I've worked with a lot of designers that collect 100% up front. We couldn't do it during COVID because the lead times were too long, but you never have a bunch hanging out at the end. The balance to that is you're going to get it 30 days before the grand reveal. You're still not going to wait until the end. If you have not engendered enough trust with the client that they feel good enough about, you know, you're going to take care of any issues, that's a bigger challenge, and that happened at the very beginning. Because you need to establish that trust and rapport very early on. Okay? Mm-hmm. So what? No, you're not competing with that. People who want free design are going to go get free design. Your clients aren't hiring a free designer, they're hiring you. What, have you ever been in a home that Crate and Barrel did? You ever been in a home that RH did? Looks like an RH showroom. So what are you worried about? Mm-mm. No. If they want to go to get a free Crate and Barrel designer, I'll say, oh, gosh, we made a mistake here. I'm so sorry. I'm not a Crate and Barrel designer. That's what you need. Boom. Here you go. I'll be real nice about it. But yeah, you're not competing with that. You're welcome. Yeah, that's exactly. It looks like a showroom. Looks like a page out of the catalog. Yes, ma'am.
You said that your initial sort of client vetting phase is multi-step process.
Mm-hmm.
Do you charge for that, or do you factor that into your design?
No, I charge for it. I also have an opportunity to do a feasibility package if they don't know enough and it's a remodel and we need a trades day. And a feasibility package can range anywhere from $1,250 to $5,000 plus. And it can range from a 2-week turnaround to a 3-month turnaround. So there's all levels of ways to get, and when you're in that process, you're getting to know the client better and better and better and better. Yeah. I never want you, the minute you leave your office, you're paid. You're paid. I don't believe in free in-home consults. I don't even use the word free. I use the word complimentary, and complimentary applies to Zoom. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
My question is around, I have a small team of
Uh-huh.
designers. I'm the lead, and I basically am just a creative director, and I like give guidance, but they do a lot of the design.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge that I have, and the reason I've always stuck with hourly, is because I find that designers have a really big heart, and they just want to do such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They just work and work and work
Mm-hmm.
until I make them stop. So how do you kind of propose that we would, or I would control that in this kind of scenario where it's like, well, I have a concept board, you're allowed one concept board. Do I just kind of give them parameters around what is going to be?
You need to give them both the parameters, but you also need to look at where the individual designer is investing the most time, and you're like, ooh, I think we can trim that. I think there's an inefficiency in your process. May I take a look at what you're doing and how you're doing it, and let's work together to see if we can tighten that up a little bit. And the other piece of this that I want you to be aware of is that your time is going into checking all of this, and I have a sneaking suspicion if you're like a lot of other principals that I work with, you may not be accounting for that.
I do, but I think they all feel bad even asking me because they know I charge more per hour. And like,
Yeah, so the whole tiered structure is a lot to maintain. I have definitely worked with a number of firms like that, and we've moved them into flat fees, and it saves a ton of time. And there are efficiencies that can be realized when you start to take a closer look at their processes individually, how they do things individually. So, does that help? Okay, good. Yes, ma'am. I know Atlanta.
What would you say the connections that kind of catapulted you to that luxury client connections?
For me, it was teaching evening at Emory. And I was teaching busy professionals. I wasn't teaching fellow students. I was teaching busy professionals about design. And when they had me for 6 weeks, they would be like, well, I can't do design, so I'm going to hire Melissa. That made a big difference. Speaking at different, I speak, so that's a really good channel for me. One of my largest clients came because his executive assistant attended an Emory course, and she referred me to him. He turned out to be a real PITA, and ultimately I wound up firing him, but there was some good money in the meantime. So, yeah, Atlanta can be a bit of a sticky, tricky shopper's paradise, but there are plenty of wealthy clients there, and there are plenty of great events, a lot of great events in Atlanta to attend. The wine auction at High Museum of Art, becoming a patron circle member at the High, equestrianism. You know, look for the things that you like to do. Here's the thing about marketing. All of you are looking at it as marketing's over here and you're over here. And you need to look at your life and go, what do I like to do? Because, man, when I can align you doing things that you already love to do but at a higher level, like instead of going to the free wine tasting down at the corner wine shop, let's get you to a wine dinner for $5.50 once a month. Then you're going to be, you know, rubbing elbows or show up. Maybe there's a 2,500 wine dinner in Naples. There's a $15,000 per couple wine week. I have a client who made plans to go there with her husband because she said, Melissa, I land one project in the next 90 days from that event, and I've more than paid for that because her minimum project value is $350. So you have to kind of look at where are they going to be? Who's your ideal client? That's the big number one question. And you can have 3 avatars, not 53. And then the next question you got to ask is, well, if I wasn't going to meet him through Google, if I wasn't going to meet him through a referral, where do they hang out? Where would I find them on a Tuesday night? Where would I find them on a Saturday morning? I've got one client, West Coast. She's got 4 kids, all athletes. One is in college. The other 3 are still playing. Where do you suppose she is every Saturday morning? She's at the ball field. She sponsored the team. Her business name is all over that ball field. She routinely gets quality clients from that ball field, okay? All right, now I gotta wrap up the questions and we're gonna move over to this, and we need lights turned on, please.